Hi there, this is Daniel with End Time Country Living, and on my last video I was talking about how to make charcoal in my wood stove and to blend it up to a fine powder and to apply that to a compost pile. And I was kind of watching some videos today about learning a little bit more about biochar and some of the benefits of it, and so I got a little bit more motivated to make some more. And I was thinking, let's see here, how could I find an easier way, because the letting it dry, so that takes quite a while, and then blending it up kind of makes a plume of a lot of mess. And I thought, well, I need to kind of inoculate it. I need to kind of fill it up with nutrients and biology. And I was thinking, well, I have urine that I collect that I can mix it in with, and I wonder if I could. Then the idea just came into my mind. It's like, how stupid. I don't have to wait for the charcoal to dry out to grind it up. If the blender is kind of a wet thing, I can add water, make it into like a thick smoothie, or some kind of slurry, and apply that, and make it even more liquidy. And so I was like, well, okay, let's give it a try. So I added some water, or filled up the blender container up fairly full with the chunks, which are still quite wet from just yesterday. They're still full of water. And I thought, that is actually the state I want it in. I want it to be, full of water. That's kind of where you want it to be. You don't really want it dry. So it's like, well, that's, this is, makes sense. And so I just added a fair amount of water, and that made a really fine, just black water, pretty much what it turned into be. So I thought, well, how much can I get away with? How little water? So I put in, about that much or so, maybe 3 inches or so. And I was struggling a little bit more, but when it got done, I'm like, this is still a liquid, and this is not, a slurry, or not something that pours out slowly. This was still a black liquid. I was surprised how much water that they had soaked up, and that when you blend it up, it doesn't need very much water added to get it going. And then the bottom stuff kind of gets liquidized, and then the other bigger stuff, you might have to press it down just a little bit with a stomper on there, push it down a little bit more to get it, if it gets bound up or something like that. But it wasn't too bad. It was real easy. It was way easier on the blender. So we were using a Vitamix. I was like, hey, you could just use a regular blender, a weaker one. You wouldn't even have to use, a super blender to do this, because it's really, the charcoal is very soft. It's really not a hard, like blending up rocks or anything like that, or dirt. It's pretty soft stuff. So when you do the water part of it, it's amazing how easy it actually blends up. So really happy about that, because obviously these chunks are too big. You don't want to be adding these to your soil. And I don't know for sure if the slurry is going to be too fine, but we're talking microorganisms here. They're microscopic, so I don't think I'm getting it too fine, but of course I don't know for sure. But it might actually be a bit beneficial, to have it more fine. I've heard, fine as you can get it. Well, we don't know for sure. But so this is kind of a trial to see. But this is, an easy way that we can grind it up. Getting to the point where it's, all the particles are nicely broken up, and it still probably has pore structure inside, but I don't know for sure. So this is a little bit of an unknown area. But the powder obviously isn't any better. It's probably just as bad as fine. But anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. So I haven't figured it all out yet, but this is just kind of a idea that came to me. Maybe God gave it to me or whatever. But anyway, so a couple inches of water, maybe even, well, probably at least 2 inches of water in the bottom of the blender to get it going, and just kind of play around with it a little bit to see, what's the minimum that you can add in there so you don't get it too thin. So here is what it looks like in the blender here. Just kind of fill it up mostly, probably 80% full. Okay, so then I'm just going to put some water in here. I'm watching the side and kind of guess. It's kind of pretty hard to see how much water you're getting into it. Once it gets dirty. Okay, so I have about that much in there. So now I'm going to put it on the blender, and I'll kind of show you how easy it blends up, or not. Once I get it on camera, it may not come out all the same. And the great thing is I can just do it in the house. I don't have to drag the base outside and do it all outside. I can just fill it up and put the top on here. Let me get the top. This is the old style Vitamix lid that you really have to push on hard. The newer ones, like see, this is the newer one, has these little grips on the side, and that's all that hangs on to the base, and that goes on much easier. The old one you have to like twist and crank and push, and it's the biggest pain to get that lid on. Okay. I had this about half right now speed, just to get the bigger chunks broken up. And now it's quieted down. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to full speed here. And it sounds like it's about done here. So that's about all it takes, and it grinds it up fairly well. So you can see here. Careful. Whoops, no, it's not. It needs to be broken down in there, so there's still a bunch of chunks in there. I'll put it on there again. Got here. Okay, we've got pretty much all of it there. So you can see it sloshing around in there. It's fairly liquidy. So it's pretty watery stuff once you get it in there. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of water inside, I think, is what's generating all that water. Okay, so I'm going to take this, and you could just store it inside of a gallon jug or something like that you could then take out and put in your compost pile. Just drizzle it all around and mix it up a little bit, and I think that should work really well. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-inoculate this stuff. So I'm going to put this in here. So about half in there, and then I'll put a little bit more in this one here. Before, when it gets towards the bottom here, so I poured most of it in here. There's a couple inches left in the bottom here, so I'm going to kind of swirl it because there is going to be kind of a grittiness to it. It's not going to dissolve type thing, so it's holding suspension. So when it gets towards the bottom, you want to swirl it around a little bit before you get the last pour. Try to get it all out of there. Lose a bunch, and probably need to do a rinse. See, there's a lot of it still stuck in here, so I'm going to do a rinse. wash down the sides and then swirl it. Get it all in there. But I'm really happy to be able to come up with this idea. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to think over different ways of doing something rather than just doing it maybe seem obvious at first. So anyway, hope this is a help to you, and anyway, I will see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.